The poor girl's wrong badge entry trapped the cold CEO millionaire in a scandal he couldn't contain. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The hum of Monday morning chatter filled the marble lobby of Hale Dynamics, a place where everything gleamed. Floors polished like still water, chrome accents catching the early sunlight, and digital screens whispering stock updates in cool blues. Mia Collins stood at the security gate clutching a borrowed blazer that didn't quite fit her shoulders, her fingers trembling around the temporary badge clipped crookedly to her pocket. Her breath fogged slightly in the air-conditioned chill as she whispered to herself, "You can do this. It's just one day, Mia." The light above the scanner blinked green for the person in front of her. But when it was her turn, her badge vibrated once, then displayed a level she wasn't authorized to access. She didn't notice. She only heard the soft chime, saw the gate slide open, and stepped through with a tiny, relieved smile. "Thank God," she breathed. She hurried into the elevator, watching the numbers rise in a smooth glide. Floor 12, floor 18, floor 27. She frowned. She was supposed to get off at 5. The doors opened to a hallway wrapped in muted glass and silver light. The air absolutely still. Too still. Across the corridor, camera flashes burst like tiny lightning strikes behind frosted partitions. Voices murmured sharply, urgent, tense. Mia hesitated, then stepped out, hugging her folder close. A cluster of reporters turned their heads at the sound of her shoes clicking on the glossy floor. "There," someone shouted. "Is that her?" Mia froze. "Me?" Before she could retreat, a tall figure stepped into the hallway. Ethan Hale, the CEO himself. Stark suit, cold eyes, presence sharp enough to cut silence in half. His gaze locked onto her, the lone girl in a borrowed blazer, standing where no intern should ever be. A dozen cameras swung toward them instantly. Someone snapped a photo. Another shouted a question. And just like that, Ethan Hale, the man known for controlling every variable, every narrative, every breath of his company, was caught in a frame beside a trembling girl who had no idea what disaster she'd just walked into. Mia swallowed hard, heat rising to her cheeks. Ethan's jaw tensed. Not anger. Not yet. Just calculation, cold, rapid, precise. As if he were trying to determine whether she was a threat, a spy, or simply the most inconvenient accident of his year. "You," he said quietly, stepping toward her. "What floor did you come from?" Mia blinked. I just scanned my badge." "Impossible," he muttered. Cameras clicked faster. Rumors sparked like static. And for the first time in his spotless career, Ethan Hale realized he was standing in the middle of a scandal he hadn't created and couldn't contain because of one girl who wasn't supposed to be here at all. Mia clutched her folder tighter, whispering, I think there's been a mistake." She had no idea how right she was. The hallway felt too bright after the burst of cameras, a sting of white light echoing behind Mia's eyes as the elevator doors closed and sealed her and Ethan Hale inside. The hum of the machinery filled the tight space, steady and low, but her heartbeat thudded louder than any mechanical sound. She stood very still, clutching her folder as if it were a life vest in open water. Ethan did not speak at first. He watched the floor numbers descend with a rigid stillness, his reflection in the mirrored panel sharp and unreadable. "You should not have been up there," he finally said, his voice controlled but carrying an edge that made her pulse skip. I did not know," she whispered. The gate opened. "I thought that meant my badge worked." "There is no badge in this building that opens the press floor without a clearance request," he replied. "Who gave it to you?" "Human Resources," she said quickly. "They handed me this one, but maybe they mixed it up." Ethan exhaled through his nose, not quite a sigh, but close. A mix-up does not cause 30 reporters to take your picture beside a chief executive officer who is already under scrutiny this quarter. Mia swallowed, her throat tight. "I truly did not mean to cause any trouble." "Trouble does not care about intention," he said. Quietly, the elevator arrived at the main level. He stepped out and gestured for her to follow. The lobby was calmer than the press floor, softer lighting, polished stone gleaming under morning reflections. Mia walked a half-step behind him, feeling the weight of 100 invisible judgments. She knew how she must look to someone like him. A girl in an ill-fitting blazer, shoes bought from a thrift rack, and nerves stitched too loosely to hide. Ethan paused near a quiet alcove beside a tall indoor ficus tree, his expression less sharp now, more contemplative. "Tell me exactly what happened from the moment you arrived," he said. She nodded quickly and recounted everything. The crowded lobby, the badge vibrating, the green light, the elevator rising far too high without her noticing. Ethan listened without interrupting, his gaze steady, analytical, as if dissecting every detail. "You truly believed you were following instructions," he said at last, almost to himself. "Yes," she whispered. "I would never intentionally walk into a restricted area. I am just here as a temporary placement. I was hoping to make a good impression." Something in her tone softened him. Just a fraction. His shoulders eased, the strict lines of his posture loosening by degrees. "You are not at fault for the badge malfunction," he said. "But the situation is complicated now. The photos are already circulating." Her stomach dropped. "Photos? They will speculate," Ethan said calmly, though his jaw flexed. "They always do." Mia felt her cheeks warm. "Speculate about what?" Ethan met her eyes for a brief, startling second. "About you. About me. About why you were there." Her breath caught. "But there is nothing. The truth is rarely the first story they print," he said. He turned slightly, as if preparing to leave, but hesitated. "For now, stay accessible. Human resources will contact you. I need to determine exactly how your badge was programmed." She nodded, feeling smaller than she ever had, yet strangely seen. He walked away with long, purposeful strides, the kind of stride belonging to a man used to controlling outcomes. Mia watched him disappear into the executive wing, a flicker of unease and something she could not yet name twisting inside her. She had wanted one ordinary day. Instead, she had stepped into the orbit of someone whose world operated at a level she had never imagined, a world where one wrong badge scan could alter the shape of her entire future. For the rest of the morning, Mia moved through hail dynamics like someone walking inside a dream she did not ask for. Each step too light, too careful, as if the floors might slide out from beneath her. The Human Resources office was a small glass room off the second floor, bright with fluorescent lights and the faint scent of copier toner. The coordinator, a woman with tidy bangs and a polite but distant smile, tapped at her keyboard while Mia sat across from her, hands laced so tightly her knuckles ached. "Your temporary placement will continue as scheduled," the coordinator said, eyes still on the screen. "However, you are not to access any restricted floors until the investigation into the badge error is complete." Mia nodded quickly. "Of course. I truly did not know." "Yes," the woman said gently. "We are aware. The malfunction appears to be internal. You are not in trouble." The reassurance helped, but only slightly. Trouble or not. Her face was already drifting somewhere through the online world, paired with a man whose reputation could not afford extra shadows. When she stepped back into the hallway, her phone buzzed with a notification from her landlord. She hesitated before opening it. The message was short, a reminder that rent was officially overdue and that he could not hold the unit much longer. Her stomach tightened. She had hoped this assignment would give her time to catch up, even a little, but now she feared it might unravel before she could steady it. She tucked her phone away and inhaled. One breath, then another. She walked toward the lobby, the vast space echoing with steady footsteps of employees in polished shoes, their badges gleaming with the shine of belonging. She tugged at the edge of her borrowed blazer, wishing she felt even a fragment as put together as they looked. She found a quiet corner bench and sat, opening her folder. Inside were the sketches she had worked on late into the night for the chance to impress someone, anyone, enough to earn a real position someday. Simple interface layouts, clean shapes, muted colors, ideas that made sense to her even when the rest of life did not. She traced one pencil line with her fingertip, imagining what it would feel like to have work displayed somewhere other than the small table in her rented room. Her breath softened. For a moment, her world narrowed to the sound of pages turning. She did not see Ethan Hale approaching until his reflection appeared on the glass panel in front of her. She jolted upright, heart suddenly quickening. He stopped a few feet away, hands in his pockets, posture impeccably straight, but less severe than earlier. "Human resources informed me they spoke with you," he said. She nodded, clutching her sketches closed. "Yes. They said it was a system error." Ethan's eyes flicked to the folder she held, then back to her face. "Good. I needed confirmation. The last thing we require is speculation about intentional access." A small flush crept into her cheeks. "I understand." He studied her for a lingering second, as if gauging the full extent of the storm she had unwittingly walked into. "This situation will pass," he said quietly. "But until it does, stay in designated areas. I will have updates soon." She nodded again. "Thank you." He turned as if to leave, but paused. "Mia." Her name in his voice felt unexpected, almost gentle. "Do not let today convince you that you do not belong here." Her breath caught. Before she could respond, he walked away, disappearing into the flow of executives. She stared at the empty space he left behind, her pulse warm in her ears. For the first time that day, she felt something loosen in her chest, something like the faint outline of hope, though she was not yet ready to trust it. Her badge vibrated softly at her side, a reminder of everything that had gone wrong, yet somehow had led her here, to a moment she did not know how to interpret. She slipped her sketches back into the folder and held it close, unaware that someone across the lobby had snapped a photo of her and Ethan in the same frame once again, a quiet spark that would soon ignite another round of whispers she was not prepared for. The next day began with the soft rumble of traffic outside the glass tower, the kind of morning that felt ordinary to everyone except Mia. She stepped into the building with her badge clipped securely, double-checking it twice before even approaching the scanners. The green light blinked, perfectly normal this time, and she let out a breath she had been holding since sunrise. Inside, Hale Dynamics carried its usual rhythm, steady and confident, a symphony of footsteps, muted conversations, and the distant hum of printers. But as Mia walked toward the temporary workspace assigned to her, she felt eyes follow her. Not hostile, but curious, whispering, wondering. She kept her gaze forward, reminding herself to breathe evenly. She was here to work. She was here to prove something to herself, even if the rest of the world had already made assumptions she could not control. The workspace was a row of shared desks near the design department. A young woman with chestnut hair tied in a high ponytail looked up as Mia approached. "You must be the new temporary placement," she said with a friendly smile. "I am Haley." "Mia," she replied, managing a small smile of her own. Haley leaned closer conspiratorially. "So, big day yesterday, huh?" Human Resources was buzzing. Mia stiffened slightly. It was a mix-up. A badge error. "Of course," Haley said quickly, sensing her discomfort. "Do not worry. This place thrives on rumors, but they move on fast." Mia hoped that was true. She sat down and pulled out her folder of sketches, carefully laying them out. The soft scratch of pencil against paper steadied her heartbeat. It felt good to focus on something she understood. Mid-morning drifted by quietly until a shadow passed over her desk. Mia looked up and startled. Ethan Hale stood there, in the middle of the design floor, in full view of dozens of employees. Conversations dimmed, eyes darted up from monitors, and even keyboards paused mid-click. Ethan did not seem to notice or care. His attention rested solely on her. "I need you to walk with me," he said. It was not unkind, but it definitely was not optional. Mia rose quickly, trying to ignore the curious glances trailing them. They walked side by side through a corridor lined with glass offices, sunlight spilling through the tall windows. "Is something wrong?" she finally asked. "Not wrong," Ethan replied, "but I require clearer information. I reviewed the security footage again. Something still does not align." Her heart skipped. "I told you everything I remember." "I know," he said, his tone softer than she expected. "But there is a portion of the footage where the badge access reads an authorization level that should not exist. It is not simply a mix-up. Someone reprogrammed your badge." She blinked. Why would anyone do that? He stopped walking, turning to look at her. The sunlight framed him sharply, the edges of his suit gleaming. "That is what I intend to find out." Her pulse lifted, not from fear, but from the strange gravity of standing in his attention again. "What do you need me to do?" He hesitated for a fraction of a second, as though choosing his words carefully. "Stay close enough that I can reach you if I need information quickly. Do not isolate yourself." And if anyone asks you to hand over your badge, you decline immediately. Mia nodded, though confusion still fogged her thoughts. As they resumed walking, she noticed a digital display on the wall flashing a headline from a business news outlet. Her breath caught when she saw her blurred figure beside Ethan in the frame. The caption below hinted at speculation. Ethan stepped in front of the screen, blocking her view. "Do not read it," he said calmly. "Speculation grows only when you feed it." The elevator doors opened, and he gestured for her to enter. For a moment, as she stepped inside, she wondered how her small, ordinary life had collided with his in such a dramatic, uncontrollable way. Ethan watched her with quiet calculation, though his eyes held something else too, something she could not quite define yet. "This situation is not over," he said softly as the doors slid closed. "But neither is your place here." Mia held her folder against her chest, unaware that the elevator security camera captured the two of them standing closer than before, a frame destined to stir even more whispers across the building. The elevator ride ended with a soft chime, but Mia stayed still for a heartbeat, grounding herself before following Ethan into the executive wing. The air here felt different, quieter, as if the temperature dropped a degree the moment the doors opened. Frosted glass panels reflected their steps, and distant city noise hummed faintly through the windowed skyline. Ethan walked with his usual decisive stride, but today there was something contemplative in the way his shoulders moved, as if he was carrying thoughts heavier than the briefcase in his hand. They entered a smaller conference room, warm lights spilling across a sleek wooden table. Ethan gestured for her to sit. She obeyed, placing her folder carefully in her lap. "I reviewed the system logs again," he began, taking a seat across from her. "Your badge was altered from inside the building. It was not accidental, and it was not random." Her breath hitched. "Someone targeted me?" "Someone used your badge," he corrected, "because you were new, unknown, and easy to overlook. If their intention was to get someone into a restricted zone without raising suspicion, using a temporary placement made sense." Mia pressed a hand to her folder, the edges warm beneath her palm. "But why involve me in something like that? I barely started yesterday." Ethan leaned back slightly, studying her. "Because you are the perfect shadow. No history here. No reason for anyone to question you." She swallowed, the understanding settling heavily. He added, "This is why I need you to stay within sight of departments I can monitor. Until I find who accessed the security system, you are vulnerable to being used again." A quiet flutter of nerves moved through her. "I will do whatever you need me to." Ethan's gaze softened a fraction. "I know." For a moment, the room stilled. Then he cleared his throat. "I need to ask you something else." She lifted her eyes. "Yesterday, before everything happened, did you speak to anyone in the lobby? Anyone who might have approached you or lingered near you?" She thought back. The crowded lobby, her nerves, the noise. I do not think so. I just walked in and headed toward the scanners. No one bumped you or touched your badge. Not that I remember." Ethan nodded slowly, absorbing every detail. The way he listened made her sit a little straighter, as if her words carried weight beyond her own understanding. "We will figure this out," he said. "But until then, you need to focus on your assignment as normal. Routine will keep attention away from you." "Yes," she whispered. Routine sounded like a lifeline. He stood and opened the door, signaling the meeting was over, but before she stepped out, he added, "One more thing." She paused. "Do not let the rumors disrupt your work. Your value here is not defined by someone else's speculation." Her chest tightened, not painfully, but with a warmth she had not expected. "Thank you," she said softly. As she walked back toward the design floor, the hallway lights shimmered gently across the polished tile, and for a brief moment, hope threaded through the tension of the last 24 hours. She reached her desk again, greeted by Haley's curious but friendly glance. "Everything okay?" Haley asked. Mia sat down, smoothing the edges of her folder. "Yes," she said, more convincingly than she felt. "Just clarifying a few things." She pulled out her sketches, laying them on the desk. Pencil in hand, she let her breathing settle as she added gentle lines to the interface design. The familiarity soothed her, returning her to a place where she had control, where her effort mattered. But across the room, she did not notice a pair of employees huddled near the coffee station, glancing her way. One of them whispered something, the other raised a phone as if scrolling, but the camera subtly tilted. Another photo taken. Another spark waiting to catch fire. And Mia, focused on the clean lines of her drawing, remained unaware that her world was about to shift again. The afternoon sun shifted across the high windows of the design floor, turning the glass panels a soft gold by the time Mia finally lifted her head from her sketches. Hours had passed without her noticing, her focus wrapped tightly around colors, shapes, and quiet details that steadied her nerves. For the first time since the badge incident, she felt almost grounded. Almost. A soft tap on her desk made her jump. Haley leaned in with a warm smile. There is a team meeting in 5 minutes. Ethan Hale is attending. Mia's breath caught. Here? What? Updates on the security matter, Haley whispered. And probably to calm the room. People are talking. Mia tried to ignore the flutter in her chest. She gathered her folder and followed Haley toward the glass meeting room. Inside, a few employees whispered while screens glowed blue across the long table. When Ethan entered, the room fell silent instantly. He carried presents the way others carried briefcases, effortlessly and without question. His gaze swept the room before landing, just for a moment, on Mia. Not long enough for anyone else to notice, but enough for her breath to pause. Thank you for coming, Ethan began, his voice steady and clear. I will address the rumors circulating regarding yesterday's incident. Several employees shifted, trying to look casual while clearly hanging onto every word. The situation was caused by an internal malfunction that is now under investigation, Ethan continued. No employee here is responsible, and no one is under suspicion. I expect professionalism from all of you. His tone sharpened just enough to cut through the undercurrent of gossip. Mia felt tension ease around the room, though her own pulse remained unsteady. The temporary placement staff member involved, Ethan added, acted appropriately given the circumstances. There will be no further speculation. Mia's cheeks warmed. She kept her eyes down, afraid that even a glance upward might give too much away. When the meeting ended, people filed out, quieter than before, some stealing looks her way that felt different now. Less judgmental, more curious. She exhaled slowly. But before she could reach the door, Ethan called. Mia, stay a moment. The air tightened. Haley gave her a quick encouraging smile before slipping out. Mia turned back as Ethan closed the door partway, granting them a sliver of privacy without fully shutting out the world. How are you handling everything? He asked. The question surprised her. I am managing, she said softly. Thank you for what you said. You did not have to defend me. I did, he replied. Because you were dragged into something beyond your control. Your integrity matters here, whether others realize it or not. Her fingers curled around the folder edge. I just want to do my job. Then do it, he said gently. Show them why you deserve to be here. She nodded, unable to stop the small smile forming before she looked away. He hesitated, an unusual flicker of uncertainty crossing his expression. There is another thing, he said. The security team discovered that your badge was used to access a console an hour before you arrived yesterday. But I was not even in the building yet, she whispered. I know, he said, watching her closely. Which means someone else used your badge. Someone who wanted their identity hidden. The room felt suddenly smaller, the air heavier. What do we do now? She asked. We narrow the window, Ethan replied. And we watch the people who assume you will not notice them watching you. A quiet shiver moved down her spine. He lowered his voice. You are not alone in this, Mia. I will not allow anyone to use you again. She met his eyes, and for the first time, she saw something beneath the composure, something protective. Something almost gentle. When he opened the door for her, the hallway lights shimmered bright and steady, but the world felt different now, as if invisible threads were pulling their lives closer with every step she took back toward her desk. Evening settled slowly over the city, turning the tall glass walls of Hale Dynamics into mirrors of amber light. Most employees packed up for the day, conversations drifting toward weekend plans and late dinners. But Mia lingered at her desk, sorting her sketches with careful hands, trying to quiet the tangle of thoughts that had followed her since the meeting. She felt watched now, not always in a threatening way, but in a curious one, as if her presence had become a puzzle everyone wanted to solve. When the design floor finally emptied, she gathered her things and slipped into the hallway. The quiet felt heavier after a day filled with whispers. Her phone buzzed. A text from her landlord. She hesitated before opening it. Another reminder. Another warning about overdue rent. She pressed her lips together, sliding the phone back into her bag, determination flickering through her chest. She would figure it out. She had to. As she approached the elevator, she nearly collided with someone turning the corner. The man stepped back with a quick apology. He was tall, sandy-haired, wearing a badge that identified him as part of the analytics department. He gave her a polite smile. "You are Mia, right?" Her heart skipped. "Yes. I am Jordan," he said warmly. "I work on the 20th floor. I heard you were joining design for a bit. How is your first week going?" The friendliness caught her off guard. "It has been eventful," she said gently. Jordan chuckled. "I would imagine. This place has been buzzing about you since yesterday." She stiffened ever so slightly. He raised his hands defensively. "Nothing bad. Just curiosity. You appeared out of nowhere. Then suddenly there were photos." She looked down, unsure how to respond. "Do not worry," Jordan added quickly. "Most people here forget rumors as fast as they start." Before she could answer, an elevator opened with a soft chime. Jordan gestured. "After you." She stepped inside. He followed, pressing the lobby button. The doors began to close, until a firm hand stopped them. Ethan stepped in. The air shifted instantly. He nodded once at Jordan, polite but cool before turning his attention to Mia. She felt her pulse react before she could control it. Jordan glanced between them, a flicker of realization in his eyes. "Chief Executive Officer Hale," he greeted respectfully. "Jordan," Ethan replied, tone even. The elevator descended, quiet except for the soft hum of machinery. After a moment, Jordan spoke lightly. "I was just telling Mia that people will move on from the incident. It seems unfair that she is caught in the middle of it." Ethan's jaw flexed, very subtly. "Yes," he said. "Unfair and unnecessary." Jordan nodded. "Exactly." The doors opened in the lobby, releasing a wash of cool evening air. Jordan stepped out first, offering Mia a friendly wave. "Have a good night. If you need help navigating the building or departments, feel free to ask." When he walked away, Ethan remained still beside her. The lobby lights reflected softly across the marble floor, casting gentle shadows beneath his stance. "Be careful with him," Ethan said quietly. She blinked. "Jordan, he was on the 20th floor yesterday morning," Ethan said. "One of the few floors connected to the badge programming console." Her breath caught. "Do you think he—" "I think," Ethan interrupted gently, "that until I have proof, you should stay observant." She nodded slowly. "He seemed nice. People who know how to blend and usually do," Ethan replied, his voice calm but threaded with meaning. She looked up at him, the lobby lights catching in his eyes. For a second, the world outside the glass walls faded, leaving only his steady gaze and the pulse of something unspoken between them. He stepped back, giving her space. "Do you have a ride home?" She shook her head. "I take the bus." He hesitated. "Text me when you arrive safely." Her heart fluttered at the unexpected softness in his tone. "I will," she whispered. She walked toward the revolving doors, unaware that Ethan watched her until she disappeared into the evening, his expression thoughtful, guarded, and carrying a weight she did not yet understand. The bus ride home was quiet, filled with the soft rattle of loose windows and the low hum of tired commuters staring at their phones. Mia sat near the back, hands wrapped around her bag, replaying everything Ethan had said. His warning about Jordan lingered in her chest, but so did the way he had asked her to text him. When she got home, as if her safety mattered to him in a way that went beyond corporate responsibility. When she reached her stop, the air outside was cool, scented faintly with rain from a passing drizzle. Her apartment building stood at the end of a cracked sidewalk, the porch light flickering with its usual stubborn struggle to stay alive. She climbed the stairs and unlocked her door to the small studio space she rented. It was quiet inside, familiar but heavy with worries she had tried to ignore all day. She set down her bag, pulled out her phone, and typed a short message. "I made it home safely. Thank you." She hesitated before sending it, but eventually pressed the button. Only a moment passed before her screen lit up. "Good. Get some rest, Mia. You have done enough worrying for one day." She exhaled, sinking into the worn cushion of her couch. She did not know what surprised her more, that he responded immediately or that she felt comfort from a man whose life seemed untouched by uncertainty. Morning came early. Mia dressed carefully, choosing the plain white blouse that looked the least wrinkled, and hurried to catch the first bus. When she arrived at the office, the lobby was quieter than usual. A subtle tension hung in the air, like something was stirring beneath the surface. Haley waved her over the moment she reached the design floor. "You missed it," she whispered. Security was reviewing access logs again. Apparently something new turned up. Mia's heart quickened. Did they say what it was? No details yet, but whatever it is has the higher-ups pacing. Haley lowered her voice. "Your name came up, but not in a bad way. I think they are narrowing something down." Before Mia could ask more, an assistant from the executive wing approached. "Mia Collins? Chief Executive Officer Hale needs to see you." The words made her pulse leap. She followed the assistant down the corridor to a small office where Ethan stood near a large window overlooking the city. He turned when she entered. His expression was serious, but not unkind. "Thank you for coming. Close the door." She obeyed, her palms growing warm. "What happened?" Ethan gestured toward a tablet on the table. Security found a second irregularity. "Your badge was duplicated." Her breath stopped. "Duplicated?" "Someone made a copy," he explained. "Not physically, but digitally. Enough to create a ghost access trail. That is why you appeared on the press floor. Someone wanted your code to open that gate." "But why use me?" she whispered. "Because you were new," Ethan said. "And because they assumed you would not question anything." He stepped closer, his voice low and steady. "You are not at fault. But they underestimated you." She swallowed, meeting his eyes. "What do we do now?" "We stay ahead of them," he replied. "Security will isolate badge access for the next 48 hours. You will scan only at supervised checkpoints. I will have someone accompany you when needed." Mia blinked. "Someone?" Ethan paused, reconsidered, then said quietly, "I will handle it myself today." A warmth slipped through her chest before she could stop it. "Are you sure?" His gaze held hers, unwavering. "I am." For a moment the world outside the window blurred into soft streaks of morning light. She felt the shift between them, subtle but undeniable, an understanding neither had spoken aloud. But the moment broke when a soft alert chimed on Ethan's tablet. He glanced at the screen, his expression tightening. "Another photo of you surfaced," he said. "Taken last night as you left the building." Mia's stomach dropped. "But I did not see anyone." "That is why it concerns me," Ethan said. "Someone is watching you closely." She pressed her hands together to steady her breathing. "Do you think it is the same person who copied my badge?" "I think," he said quietly, "that whoever it is, they are not finished. And as long as that is true, I will not let you walk through this building unprotected." His words settled over her like a shield, both comforting and frightening. Outside, the city lights flickered in the glass, unaware that two lives inside the tower were slowly being threaded together by a mystery neither of them had asked for, but neither could step away from now. The rest of the morning unfolded under a cautious stillness, the kind that made every sound in the hallway feel sharper, every glance from passing employees feel heavier. Mia stayed close to Ethan just as he instructed, not because she feared the building itself, but because the uncertainty threading through her day felt less overwhelming when he was nearby. After a series of controlled badge scans at supervised checkpoints, Ethan guided her toward a reserved workspace in a quieter wing of the design floor. Sunlight filtered through the tall windows, warming the minimalist desks and casting soft shadows across the floor. "You will work here for now," Ethan said, gesturing to the station. "Security can monitor this area more effectively." Mia nodded, setting her folder down. "I appreciate the precautions. I just do not want to be a disruption." "You are not," he replied, a touch more firmly than she expected. "Someone else is trying to create one." He paused, his gaze focusing past her for a moment, as if following a thought he did not voice. Then he turned back to her, his tone calmer. "Show me what you were working on yesterday." Her breath steadied as she opened her folder, revealing the pencil sketches she had guarded so carefully. Interface layouts, color concepts, navigation patterns, simple ideas drawn in the soft gray of graphite. Ethan pulled a chair beside her, close enough that she could feel the quiet strength of his attention. "Walk me through this," he said. She explained each sketch, her voice gaining confidence as she talked about transitions, user flow, and accessibility features. Ethan studied her notes, nodding gently. "Your eye for structure is intuitive," he said. "Design is not just shapes. It is how people experience something. You understand that." Warmth rose in her cheeks. I just draw what makes sense to me. Then keep doing it, he replied. We need designers who think like this. Before she could respond, a soft alert chimed from Ethan's phone. His expression tightened subtly. He stood, stepping aside to read the message. Security found something, he said after a moment. Another badge anomaly? She asked. No, he replied. A camera feed. Her pulse lifted again. Camera feed? Ethan moved closer, lowering his voice. Footage from the lobby last night. The person who took your photo remained outside after you left. He did not follow you, but he waited. For someone else. A chill rolled through her. Who? Ethan hesitated. Jordan. The name felt like a stone dropping into water. But he seemed friendly, Mia said quietly. Exactly, Ethan replied. Someone who wants to blend in will always seem that way. He exhaled slowly, as if measuring the weight of what he was about to say. I checked his access logs earlier. He was near the badge programming console. The morning your code was duplicated. He claimed he was researching data flows, but none of the files he accessed matched that story. Mia's breath caught. Do you think he targeted me? I think he used you. Ethan answered, steady but gentle. And he may not be working alone. Someone higher may have instructed him. The room grew still again, sunlight flickering across the glass walls like shifting pieces of a puzzle. Mia folded her hands to steady them. What happens now? Ethan's voice softened, the calm reassurance in it wrapping around her. Now, he said, we tighten the circle. We watch more closely, and we make sure you are never placed in harm's way again. She met his eyes, finding something there she had not expected when this all began. A sincerity that felt protective, not possessive, attentive, not demanding. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. You are not alone in this, Mia. Do you understand? She nodded, her heartbeat warming in her chest. I do. Good, he said, his tone deepening just slightly. Because this is only the beginning. Whoever copied that badge is not finished. But neither am I. Outside the glass wall, the building continued its steady rhythm, unaware that somewhere within its quiet corridors, a connection was forming through every shared glance, every careful word, and every unseen threat drawing them closer together. Ireland gray clouds rolled past the skyline as afternoon faded, casting long shadows across the upper levels of Hale Dynamics. The building was quieter than usual, as if holding its breath. Mia returned to her temporary workspace after lunch, her mind still turning over everything Ethan had revealed. A duplicated badge, a shadow waiting in the lobby. Jordan connected to the console hours before she ever stepped foot in the building. The pieces did not align yet, but the pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. She placed her folder gently on her desk and sat, smoothing her blouse in an attempt to steady her hands. Haley appeared moments later with 2 paper cups of coffee, her ponytail bouncing lightly. Thought you could use this, Haley said with a bright smile, though concern lingered behind her eyes. You have been tense all day. Thank you, Mia replied, wrapping her fingers around the warm cup. It has just been a lot to process. Haley sat at the edge of the desk. I do not know what is going on, but whatever it is, you are handling it better than I would. Mia offered a grateful smile. I am trying. Haley glanced toward the hallway. Also, someone was asking for you earlier. Mia stiffened. Who? Jordan, Haley said. He asked if you were around. He looked unsettled. A ripple of unease traveled through her. Did he say what he wanted? No, but he seemed impatient when he left. Mia nodded, her pulse quickening quietly beneath her collar. She thanked Haley again and returned her attention to her sketches, though her focus drifted every few seconds toward the elevator doors. Not long after, Ethan appeared in the design wing. He carried no briefing folder, no tablet, only the steady calm she had begun to associate with him. The instant he stepped into the room, the air shifted. Conversations hushed. Keyboard clicks softened. His eyes found Mia's with practiced ease. May I speak with you? Mia rose immediately, tucking her folder under her arm. Inside a quiet hallway, Ethan's tone lowered. Security cross-referenced the camera feed again. The person in the lobby last night received a message right before he left. A message? From someone inside the building, Ethan said. From Jordan. Her breath caught. What does that mean? It means Jordan was not just observing, Ethan replied. He was coordinating. Mia pressed a hand to her chest, steadying her heartbeat. But why involve me? Because you were not protected when you started? Ethan said. He likely assumed no one would question your movements, or his. She swallowed, nerves tightening. Is he dangerous? Ethan paused, choosing his words carefully. I do not believe he intends harm directly, but he is working for someone who may. The flurry of possibilities made her pulse race. What do you need me to do? Stay visible, Ethan said. Jordan will avoid you if others are around. He cannot risk drawing attention. As they walked back toward the design floor, a soft vibration buzzed in Mia's pocket. She pulled out her phone. A new message. Unknown number. The text read, "We need to talk. I think there has been a misunderstanding." She froze, her stomach turning cold. Ethan noticed instantly. What is it? She showed him the screen. Ethan's jaw tightened. Delete it. Do not respond. Mia nodded, a slight tremor in her fingers. He wants to meet, she whispered. Of course he does, Ethan replied. He is losing control of the narrative. That is when people make mistakes. They returned to her desk, where Ethan looked at her with a quiet intensity that felt like a shield. You are not meeting him, he said firmly. If he approaches you again, you call me. Immediately, she nodded, feeling the ground steady beneath her once more. But just as Ethan started to leave, a senior manager hurried into the room, holding a tablet with a troubled expression. Chief Executive Officer Hale, he said breathlessly. You need to see this. Ethan took the tablet, his expression tightening the further he read. Mia watched his eyes narrow, his posture sharpen. What is happening? She asked. Ethan lowered the screen, his voice low and controlled. Someone anonymously submitted a report claiming you accessed internal files this morning. Mia's heart dropped. But I did not. I know, he said. But the report is already circulating. The board wants answers. The room seemed to shift around her. The whispers, the photos, the duplicated badge, and now a false accusation. Ethan stepped closer, his voice steady, anchoring her in place. Listen to me carefully, Mia, he said. This is exactly what they want. Confusion, doubt, chaos. But they underestimated one thing. She blinked, breath trembling. What is that? They underestimated how closely I am watching, he said, and how far I am willing to go to protect you. Outside, the wind pressed softly against the glass walls, unaware that a storm was building quietly inside the tower, one that neither Mia nor Ethan could turn away from anymore. The conference room felt smaller than usual as Ethan led Mia inside, closing the glass door behind them with a quiet final click. Afternoon light spilled across the sleek table, catching in the silver frames of the wall art and reflecting soft gold across Ethan's expression. He set the tablet down in front of her, the false accusation still glowing on the screen like a wound someone wanted the company to believe she caused. Mia stared at it, her breath unsteady. I do not understand, she whispered. How can they claim I accessed files I have never even heard of? Because someone wants to create a pattern, Ethan said, keeping his tone level for her sake. First the duplicated badge, then the surveillance photo, now a falsified report. They want to paint you as unpredictable, possibly manipulative, someone who should not be trusted. She pressed her hands together, grounding herself. Why go to all this trouble? I am no one. Ethan paused, and the silence between them shifted with weight. You are someone to whoever orchestrated this, he said. Someone useful. Someone expendable. The words made her chest tighten. She looked toward the window, the city stretching endlessly beyond the glass. I wish I understood this world, she murmured. I am trying, but it feels like every time I take a step, someone moves the ground beneath me. Ethan moved closer, standing beside her rather than across from her. Mia, look at me. She turned slowly. His voice softened. You do not need to understand their world. You only need to understand this. None of this began because of something you did. It began because someone is trying to undermine me. Her breath caught. Undermine you? He nodded. If they can make me appear careless, if they can prove I failed to control a security breach, it gives ammunition to those who want to challenge my leadership. Using you was convenient. You were new, unsupervised, and easy to blame. Shock rippled through her. So all of this, it is not really about me at all. It is about both of us now, Ethan said gently. Because they miscalculated. They assumed you would break under pressure. But you are stronger than they anticipated. A soft knock interrupted them. A senior board member, Ms. Patterson, opened the door slightly, her expression tense. Chief Executive Officer Hale, the board wants you upstairs immediately. They expect an explanation for this report. Ethan's jaw tightened. Tell them I will be there in 2 minutes. She nodded and left. When they were alone again, Mia felt panic rise in her throat. I do not want you to get in trouble because of me. Ethan stepped closer, his presence steady and grounding. I am not in trouble, he said. But I am done allowing them to pull strings from the shadows. Her voice trembled. What will you tell them? His answer was immediate. The truth. She blinked. But you do not have proof yet. Not yet, he repeated, but I will. He reached out, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the warmth of his hand in the space between them. While I am upstairs, you stay in this room. Do not leave until I return. Not with anyone else, no matter what they say. Mia nodded, trusting him without hesitation. I will wait. Ethan held her gaze for one long, steady moment, something unspoken lingering between them. Then he turned and left, the door closing behind him with a quiet certainty. Alone in the silent room, Mia looked at the tablet again, her reflection faint in the darkened screen. She was not the girl who wandered into the wrong floor anymore. She was part of something larger, something tangled and risky and unexpectedly tied to a man she never thought would even know her name. Outside, footsteps echoed through the hallway as the boardroom waited upstairs for Ethan to defend himself, defend her, and confront a situation that was no longer just a misunderstanding, but a battle of control. And as Mia sat alone, hands clasped tightly in her lap, she realized there was no turning back now. She was in the center of a storm she never meant to enter, but she was not facing it alone. Upstairs, the boardroom lights glowed with a harsh white brightness, but in the small conference room where Mia waited, the air felt still, almost suspended. The soft ticking of the wall clock marked each passing second, each quiet reminder that Ethan was facing a room full of executives who demanded answers about a scandal she never meant to start. She sat with her hands folded tightly, her gaze fixed on the city through the glass walls. Cars moved below like drifting sparks, people walking briskly through the sidewalks with no idea of the storm building floors above them. Her phone buzzed once. A notification. She reached for it quickly, only to find a message from an unknown number again. You should not trust him. Her breath hitched. She deleted it immediately, just as Ethan had instructed, but the unease lingered beneath her ribs. Minutes passed. Too many. She stood and paced, pressing her palms together to keep calm. The click of the door startled her. She turned and exhaled when she saw Ethan. His expression was controlled, but there was a tension in his shoulders that had not been there before. He closed the door behind him, leaning on it briefly as if steadying himself. How did it go? She asked softly. His eyes lifted to hers, and something warm flickered behind them. Better than they expected, he said. Worse than it should have been. He walked toward her, removing his suit jacket and setting it over a chair. They questioned everything. The badge, the duplicated code, the report. They assumed incompetence before considering sabotage. Did they accuse you? She whispered. Ethan shook his head. Not directly, but they wanted a name to blame. And they expected me to give them yours. Mia felt the ground shift beneath her. You defended me? Of course I did, he said, his voice tightening with quiet conviction. I will not allow them to scapegoat someone who has done nothing wrong. Her breath trembled. But without proof. Proof is coming, he said. Security found an access attempt on the internal server. Someone tried to delete the duplicated badge logs. Someone trying to cover their tracks, Mia murmured. Exactly, Ethan replied. And the only people with that level of access are senior analysts. Her mind pulled the threads together. Jordan is a senior analyst. Ethan nodded slowly, though his tone remained cautious. Yes, but he is not acting alone. Someone higher wants this to escalate. A soft silence settled between them. Mia lowered herself into a chair, her knees suddenly weak. I did not ask for any of this. I just wanted a temporary placement. A chance. Ethan sat across from her, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. And yet, you handled everything with more integrity than most seasoned employees. She met his eyes, unsure whether his words steadied or overwhelmed her. What happens next? Ethan's expression softened, losing some of its usual formality. What happens next is that I clear your name, and I expose whoever tried to use you to get to me. She swallowed, her voice thin. Why does it matter so much to you? His gaze held hers with disarming sincerity. Because you walked into this building hoping to prove yourself. And instead of letting pressure break you, you showed resilience people twice your position could not manage. Her heart warmed in her chest. I only did what anyone would do. No, he said quietly. You did what someone with integrity does. They underestimated you. I will not make the same mistake. The air between them shifted, threaded with something deeper than tension. Trust, unspoken but unmistakably forming. Before either of them could speak again, a knock sounded at the door. The assistant from earlier peeked in. Chief Executive Officer Hale, security has isolated the access attempt. They want you upstairs immediately. Ethan nodded once. I will be right there. The assistant left. Ethan rose, then paused, turning back to Mia. This is the turning point, he said softly. We are closer than ever to the truth. She stood as well, her voice barely above a breath. Should I stay here? Yes, he said. Stay? And remember, no one enters this room but me. She nodded. I understand. Ethan hesitated for half a heartbeat, as if he wanted to say something more, then finally stepped toward the door. Before leaving, he looked back, his gaze steady, protective, and filled with a resolve that made her chest tighten. Mia, he said quietly, I will not let this end with you being blamed. When he was gone, the room felt larger, quieter, but no longer frightening. Because for the first time since stepping into Hale Dynamics, she knew someone believed her, someone powerful enough to change what happened next. And somewhere deep inside, hope bloomed softly, steady as morning light. The hallway outside the small conference room pulsed with movement as employees hurried between meetings, but inside, Mia stood alone in a hush so deep it felt like the air itself was listening. She paced once, twice, then forced herself to sit, her hands clasped tightly around the edges of her folder as she waited for Ethan to return. Each second stretched longer than the last. She tried not to imagine what was happening upstairs, though her mind painted pictures anyway. A room full of executives, security footage playing frame by frame, Ethan standing tall against a tide of doubt. She inhaled slowly, grounding herself. She trusted him. She had to. After what felt like an eternity, the door finally opened. Ethan stepped inside, and the moment she saw him, she rose to her feet. His expression carried exhaustion, relief, and something like triumph settling behind his eyes. He closed the door and exhaled. It is done, he said. Her breath caught. Done. Security isolated the access terminal used to duplicate your badge. The attempted deletion traces back to a senior systems engineer who has been communicating with Jordan. She pressed a hand to her chest. So it was them. Them, Ethan confirmed. And someone higher who authorized them. Someone who wanted leverage. She swallowed gently. Leverage against you. Yes. His voice softened. Using you was their quickest path to causing trouble inside my department. But it backfired the moment I started paying attention. She lowered her eyes, overwhelmed. What will happen to them? They will face disciplinary action and further investigation, Ethan replied. But more importantly, the board knows you are innocent. The false report has been wiped from your record. Relief flooded her so suddenly she had to lean back against the chair for balance. He stepped closer, concern flickering across his expression. Sit, Mia. She did, breathing out slowly. I thought my chance here was over, she whispered. I thought I ruined everything. You did not ruin anything, Ethan said gently. You revealed the cracks in their plan. You were the deciding factor in pulling the truth into the open. She lifted her eyes to his. I just wanted to work hard and prove myself. His expression softened fully now, sincerity threading through every word. And you did. More than you realize. A soft breeze drifted through the ceiling vents, stirring a loose strand of hair near her cheek. Without thinking, Ethan reached out and brushed it aside. The touch was slight, careful, but warm enough to halt her breath. He paused, his hand hovering for a moment before withdrawing, his voice quiet. I owe you something. She blinked. You do not owe me anything. I do, he insisted gently. You walked into this company hoping for a lifeline, and instead you were pulled into a storm meant for me. You protected me, she said softly. You believed me when no one else wanted to. He held her gaze, the distance between them shrinking in ways neither moved to correct. Then let me offer you something in return. He reached for the folder on the table, the one she guarded so carefully, and opened it. Her sketches lay inside, each pencil line drawn with hope she never expected anyone important to see. These, he said, are not beginner work. They are the foundation of something promising. You think in patterns and stories, not just visuals. That is rare. Mia felt her heart warm with disbelief. I just draw what feels meaningful. Exactly, Ethan replied. Which is why I would like to offer you something more permanent. She stared at him, unsure she heard correctly. Permanent. He nodded. A full-time junior design position. Your own workspace. Real projects. Real mentorship. Emotion tightened her throat. Are you serious? Completely. Her eyes glistened, her voice a faint breath. Ethan, I do not know what to say. Say yes, he said with a rare, gentle smile. Say yes, and let this be the beginning, not the aftermath. She swallowed, overwhelmed, then nodded. Yes. The word left her like an exhale she had held since her first day in the building. Ethan's expression warmed, relief mingled with something deeper, something he did not speak aloud, but she felt all the same. He extended his hand, not in a formal way, but in a quiet offering. She placed hers in his, and the room seemed to steady around them. Welcome to Hale Dynamics, Mia, he said softly. For real this time. Outside the glass wall, the city gleamed with evening light, unaware that in a quiet conference room high above the streets, two lives had just shifted, no longer bound by misunderstanding, but by truth, trust, and the unmistakable beginning of something neither of them could deny any longer.